that my mother and father have owned for many years, and about 16 years I put a home on the property, and we are now wanting to break it up into two lots, one of 2 acres and one of 1 acre. 1 acre being my home. And I'll take questions if anybody wants to ask me anything about it.
Any questions for Mr. Townsend this time?
I have a question, Mr.
Sure.
Lloyd. Mr. Lloyd, I thought trailers were only authorized in R6.
R6A.
R6, okay.
Now, it's zoned R4, oh, and R40A. That's what the A means, R20A, R40A, allow manufactured housing. Some only allowed double wides, such as R40A, allows double wides, and that's the DW shown there.
Oh, I understand that. Okay.
Further questions? Any further speakers?
We have no further speakers.
Okay, at this time, I'll close the public hearing. Board, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Gage.
I would move that we find the request for rezoning consistent with the 2030 Growth Vision Plan and any other applicable land use plan reasonable and in public interest for the reasons stated in the recommendation of the planning staff. And you'll do both motions at one time?
No. Second. Moved and seconded, first motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Okay, second motion.
Second motion, I move to approve the rezoning for R40A residential district as recommended by the planning staff.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
The next
Yes,
case is case P 16-13.
Again, the planning board recommend unanimous approval of this rezoning A1 to R40, and it is a church. I'll let you know that. And it's only a rezoning to accommodate a setback.
Okay, this time I'll open the public hearing. Are there any speakers?
One speaker in favor, Mr. Philip Walters.
Mr. Walters, please come forward.
I'm here just to answer any questions. I'm the general contractor doing the job for the church. We're gonna build a front awning on the front of the church, so it's on the fellowship hall, so that they can pull up and have accessibility without being in the rain, so. And the setback didn't allow them to do that, but if we change the setback, it would.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Walters? Thank you, sir. Close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, other speakers.
There are no
Okay,
further
close the public
speakers.
hearing. Okay, board, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we find the request for rezoning consistent with the 2030 Growth Vision Plan and any other applicable land use plan reasonable and in the public interest for the reasons stated in the recommendation of the planning staff.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Okay, second motion, please.
Second motion is move to approve the rezoning for R40 residential district as recommended by the planning staff.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
The next case is a conditional zoning district, case P 16-11.
Once again, the planning board, no one showed up in opposition. They recommended unanimous approval. The petitioner inherited some property, just wants to put it under an existing conditional use overlay. We used to have overlays, now there's conditional zoning. He's just adding this. There's no change to the use on the property. It's just add more land that he inherited under the same zoning.
Okay, at this time I'll open the public hearing. Are there speakers?
There are no speakers.
No speakers. I'll close the public hearing. What is your pleasure, board?
Can I ask a question?
Sure,
So
absolutely.
he's gonna use more property for the exact same, for the repair? Is that what I kinda understand?
Right, he's just going to combine it with the existing lot. The property inherited, he's going to combine into the lot where the zoning already is overlaid. The business, it's not going to change anything on the property. He's just adding it to what he inherited. The petitioner's here, his representative's here, but there's no change. It's a conditional zoning. If there was any change to the plan or to any use on the property, they would have to then change the plan, and there's no change in the plan, so that you could see any change.
Well, why do they need the zone if nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna change? I don't understand. Maybe I'm just,
First of all, it used to be called conditional use overlays. We've established a policy, once we establish conditional zoning, that, excuse me, anytime a property comes up that's already a conditional use overlay, we automatically rezone it to conditional zoning to bring it up to date on the zoning map.
I'm lost. Maybe so.
The
Please
property
do.
changed hands.
The petitioner's here.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good.
I'm Lori Epler with Larry King and Associates, 1333 Morganton Road here in Fayetteville, 28305. Our client is Don Knobloch. His father owned many acres out in this area. That was Fred Knobloch. The father passed away recently. Don opened his business on part of his dad's property back in 1990. That property was not zoned. He's been running that same business at that location. In 1993, they went through Grace Creek and they zoned it. The county drew up a zoning map for him and did the conditional use at that time for him when they initially zoned the property. It was approved for the same use he's using it for today and that he's going to use it for a year from now. He needed more land to make his business work. His father passed away. He and his siblings have inherited the property. Before they sell the balance of that property, he wants to take what he's going to inherit and stretch the zoning over the entire 4 acres that he's going to have.
Which enhances his business. That's all. I mean, that's
Yes, sir.
basically, that's what.
He
I
really
mean, that
is
was the
already
question. Yeah.
using it. He really is already using it.
Okay. So he's just trying to come in compliance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gotcha.
Any other questions?
Further questions? Thank you, Lord.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Did I close the public hearing? I did, didn't I? Okay.
Yes, you did.
All right, what is your pleasure, board?
You want me to do this one too?
If you want to. You're on a roll.
All right.
You've got an unanimous vote.
Mr. Chairman, I move to find the request for rezoning consistent with the 2030 Growth Vision Plan and any other applicable land use plan, reasonable and in the public interest for the reasons stated in the recommendations of the planning staff.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Second motion.
Second motion, move to approve the rezoning for A1 agricultural CZ conditional zoning for motor vehicle repair and outside storage as recommended by the planning staff.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
The next item is a minimum housing code enforcement case, case MH 1368-2016. Mr. Walters.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We got one case tonight. Property owner for this case is John H. Perry. Property is located at 476 Slocum Road. It's a heavily dilapidated building. Mr. Penny has got with us, and he's signed a consent form. And we're seeking an order for demolition in 30 days.
Okay, this time I'll open the public hearing. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask for the board's pleasure.
I'll take it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Make a motion, we adopt the order and report the minimum housing inspector as the true facts in this case, and to order the property owner to remove or demolish a dwelling within 30 days. To order the inspector to remove or demolish a dwelling if the owner fails to do so and impose a lien on the real property for the cost of such action. To direct the clerk to incorporate the foregoing findings and orders in an ordinance certified by the chairman and record the same in the register of deeds.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Next item.
Okay, the next item is a one
Thank
five.
you.
one final public hearing. It's a public hearing on the draft Community Development Annual Action Plan for the upcoming fiscal year 2017. This evening, we have our Community Development Director, Ms. Sylvia McLean.
Good evening, Chair and
Evening.
Commission.
Good evening.
We are pleased to bring before you our 2016 Annual Action Plan. As you know, the community development has been around since 1995. Since 1995, when the county was designated as a urban county by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This designation meant that the county can receive entitlement grant funds from HUD that is based on the population and the ability to undertake community development and housing activities. In order for individuals to participate and agencies to participate to qualify to receive funding through our programs for services, the residents, of course, must live in the designated areas as you see on the slide. And I'm not going to call out the different names here as you see them. And one of the key aspects of this is that we can assist families, individuals that live in these areas, and as long as they do not reside within the city limits of Fayetteville, our funding can assist individuals in those areas. The strategic plan process, as you see, in order for community development to administer these programs, we must first develop a strategic plan and to identify how funds will be used. There are two reports that are required to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD. And the reports are, of course, the Consolidated Plan, which is a 5-year plan that was recently done for the program year of 2015 through 2019. And then the second report, of course, is the Annual Action Plan, which is the plan we're actually presenting tonight. The Annual Action Plan, the period for that plan begins July 1 and ends June 30th. The Community Development Department, we are required, of course, by HUD to submit this plan by May 13th, and the Board of Commissioners is required to actually approve the plan prior to submission to HUD. During the last consolidated plan period, which was prepared in 2015, and again, that covers a 5-year process, which begins July 1, 2015, and goes through June 30th, 2020. And this is, again, a plan that was previously approved by the Board of Commissioners. We are currently in our first year of our consolidated plan period. In order for community development to determine what types of projects and activities to be funded, we must, of course, develop a needs assessment by contacting public and agencies to solicit input. And based on the need assessment that was done for the 2015-2019 program year, the top priorities are as indicated: affordable housing, homelessness, and non-housing community development activities. In order for the individual agencies to receive funding through the CDBG program, at least one of the 3 national objectives are to be met, as identified there on the slide, which is principally benefiting low and moderate individuals. The activity or service must address and aid in preventing or elimination of slum and blight areas, or the activity must meet a particular urgency, which means that there's a serious and immediate threat to the health or welfare of the community, and no other financial resources are available to meet such needs. What you have before you is the annual action plan allocation for this upcoming year. Community development, of course, receive the CDBG and home on an annual basis, which is the block grant and the home investment partnership programs. And of course, with this community development, we do not have to apply for these funds through a competitive process. These are grant funds because we are an entitlement community that we receive these funds directly from HUD. For the CDBG program, we can use those program funds to undertake housing activities, public service, public facility, infrastructure, economic development activities, and other housing and community-related activities. In May of 2015, the city and county elected officials and staff enhanced the discussion to proceed in the direction of developing solutions through a joint venture to reduce homelessness in our community. As a result, in November of 2015, the city and the county, through its joint venture strategies to address homelessness, identified funds for this joint homeless initiative. In the current year, the county committed $100,000 for this particular joint venture, and the city indicated they would commit $50,000. These funds will, of course, be used to provide for essential personnel that are needed in order to meet HUD mandated requirement, which is CFR Part 24, Part 578, for the HMIS, which we know as the Homeless Management Information System. And these funds, of course, will also be used to provide direct aid, direct services for homeless individuals for prevention and rapid rehousing. And I would like to note that most of our federal programs are required to submit information into this federal mandate system, the HMIS. There are other, of course, programs that we administer in community development that we actually receive through a competitive process on an annual basis that is to address homelessness and those at risk of being homeless. And such programs are as listed on the slide. These programs are funded through the Continuum of Care, which is a HUD-funded program, Emergency Solution Grants, which is a state-funded program, and Projects for Assistance in Transition from Homelessness, which we call PATH, is a federally funded program. Those programs are administered and or managed by community development. And the finale, this here shows the actual timeline in which we follow on our schedule in the planning and the submission process. After tonight's public hearing, then if there are any comments, then we will incorporate those comments within our annual action plan, and we will finalize the plan and submit it back to the Board of Commissioners on the May 2nd meeting for final approval to submit to HUD. So therefore, Community Development requests that the Board of Commissioners hold a public hearing on the draft 2016 annual action plan to offer input and comments, as well as receive comments from the public.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. McLean. Do any board members have any questions at this point? If not, I'll open the public hearing. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman, I had
Okay,
one
all
question, and
okay.
she may not be able to answer this, and if you can't, Sylvia, it's okay. On the homeless management information system, as I understand it, that's a federal requirement that is being submitted for all agencies that use HUD funds to use.
Yes, sir.
And is there a way, and maybe we're not in, we haven't got ours started yet, but is there a way to track some of these homeless people from, say, one community to another? Like, if one comes from Raleigh down here or from Charlotte here, is there a way to track them with that system, or do you know that?
If I could, sir, I would like to ask one of my staff members, Dolores Taylor, to come forth, for she has been an integral part in meeting with the governance committee that is held once a month in Greensboro to address that question.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Commissioner. To answer your question, the agencies, statewide, the agencies do use the HMIS, the same software system. They can have a sharing agreement amongst each other, where, yes, one agency from one area can see data from another agency in another area if they have a sharing agreement with each other. In our local community, majority of the agencies do not have a sharing agreement amongst each other. However, they're all on the HMIS system. And eventually, as we advance further in our community-wide coordinated assessment process, we will get to that point where the agencies may want to share the data amongst each other.
Thank you for that answer. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for staff? Jim?
Yeah, sorry, Sylvia. Just for clarification, as we go forward with this, you had two items that I'd like a definition on if you have one. One is, if we identified any areas in the other municipalities other than Fayetteville or the unincorporated areas that right now are considered slum and blight?
No, sir. No area within our jurisdiction has been identified as slum and blight.
Okay, thank you. The second thing is, we talk about low and moderate income. We talk mod income now. And a lot of times we've talked about low income as before, and there was a threshold that is different per county. But how do you figure out moderate? And give me a definition of moderate. I think we're all familiar with low.
Moderate income is considered 80%, at the point of 80% of the income median, and Ms. Taylor can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for a household of 4, the income is based on very low, which is very low, which is 30%, low, which is 50%, and then moderate, which is 80%, and the median income for 4 in the household for this particular area is $53,000.
$53,000 is considered our
Moderate.
threshold.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, moderate is 80% of 53,000.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Okay, at this time I'll open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there speakers?
And there are no speakers.
No speakers, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you for that presentation, and we look forward to the final product on May 2nd.
The next,
It will come back or not?
yes, sir,
It
May
will.
2nd. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The next, item number 4 is an item of business, nominations to boards and committees.
Okay, are there any nominations for the Cumberland County Community Child Protection Facility?
Mr. Chairman, for the law enforcement officer position from the Sheriff's Department, I would nominate Detective Robert Jeffers.
Okay, are there further nominations? Ms. Council?
And I'd like to nominate Lieutenant Timothy Chu. No, I don't. Detective Pedro Arellano.
Oriano.
Okay.
He replaces Timothy
He
too.
replaces Lieutenant Chu.
Correct. Are there further nominations?
And that's for the city position. I think it must be.
The Fayetteville
Yes.
City,
Must be
yeah,
a county.
the law enforcement officer position,
Uh-huh.
city. Yeah. Got a sheriff's and a city, okay. Further nominations, okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. I'd like to call on Vice Chairman Glenn Adams.
Mr. Chairman, the Equalization Review Board has already been appointed. I think you come back to do the chair, the first vice chair, the second vice chair. For chairman, nominate Kathy Olson. For first vice chairman, Harvey Butch Rayner. And for second vice chairman, William Bill Holland. I'll make that a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Unanimous.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, to the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee, we have 6 vacancies. Laura Hardy, Eva Moore, Gary Blackwell, Monica Russell, Don O'Donnell, and Lily White, as we have a same number for nominees as of vacancies. I'd move these be appointed.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded for acclamation for these nominees. Any discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, for the Joint Senior Citizens Advisory Commission, we have 2 vacancies, and they are can be reappointed. Egna Cogdale and Willie Wright. I would move they be reappointed to the Joint Senior Citizens Advisory Commission.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, discussion. All in favor?
Unanimous.
Item number 7 is closed session for a personnel matter subject to North Carolina General Statutes 143-318, 11A6.
Do I hear a motion to go into closed session?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to go into closed session. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Okay, the board will now go into closed session. Take a quick recess before we do that. Moved and seconded to come out of closed session. Discussion. All in favor?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hear from the, whatchamacallit people. Oh, no. Too late now. It's all out. Okay. No, you know me. And look, this is not the city.
Good evening, what's
This
left?
is not like the city, when you go in and then we come out and everybody know all your business.
Look,
That's what the city does.
and I come out, you find me stretched out on the parking lot
Now look,
because of you.
praying.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Not even the newspaper reported what they saw.